Nobody just wants impressions. They want proof.
And CMOs are one of the executive positions that gets replaced the most.
All right, folks, welcome back to Seriously Social. Took a bit of a break.
But
We're back. We got a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of major updates, especially since we've taken a break. You know, we missed a lot of stuff. So we're just going to try to talk about what may have happened in the last week, maybe 2 weeks. But first is going to be, we're going to talk about the new LinkedIn Creator Marketplace. We're going to talk about Facebook Shops and why brands shouldn't sleep on Facebook Shops, because people are thinking about Instagram Shops and a bunch of other shops. So we'll talk about Facebook Shops. Then we're going to talk about Dentsu and them reviving the iconic agency called 360i, but this time it's social focused and AI enabled. We don't know exactly what that means yet, but we're going to find out. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about LinkedIn's new partnership with DoubleVerify.
Yep,
DoubleVerify to help their advertisers who are advertising on their publisher network, not on LinkedIn, get better insight to where their ads are being shown, the performance of those ads, and much more. So first and foremost, did you guys even know LinkedIn had a creator marketplace?
Admittedly, I did not.
Something I learned maybe this morning. But so the LinkedIn marketplace, creator marketplace, is actually not open publicly yet. It is an invite only. Obviously, they'll roll it out. But LinkedIn is really the last major platform, inexcusable given that, it is probably the most valuable platform when it comes to the professional graph, where their audience sits, ultimately who's engaging with the content. And one of the most important things is, I think their creator marketplace, a little bit more different than TikTok and even Instagram, is that they're really focusing on professional credibility.
Right.
One of the things that I think a lot of the other marketplaces are really utilized for is the aesthetics, the natural, how creators are naturally in tuned with how the platforms work. So they create authentic content.
Right.
And so authenticity still matters on LinkedIn, but it's around the professional credibility. And the one thing I'll say why this is unique is because LinkedIn is actually one of the platforms where still if you post organically, extremely valuable, but it's slower paced than a lot of the other platforms. So I think the creator marketplace, the bridge it ultimately gaps is where organic is slow, where paid is extremely expensive, valuable but expensive. The creator marketplace will tie the bridge between the two.
And I want to, we're talking about how it's an opportunity for brands and agencies to get connected with a professional network, and B2B influencers have always been this, I don't want to say taboo thing, but harder to accomplish.
For sure.
But what about the creators, right? Like every other platform rewards creators from a monetary way, and LinkedIn does a little bit, but not to the extent which it will do now. And then the second thing for creators is, when we think about like the TikTok market, that creator marketplace, you're thinking video, obviously,
of course,
right? Like you can post not just videos on TikTok, but we're thinking make videos for us, Mr. Creator.
Right.
On LinkedIn, it's a plethora of types of content.
That's right.
You can do LinkedIn articles, you can do straight text-based posts, the top talent voices. What are they called? Top voices on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
They have email newsletters that they can, not email newsletter, LinkedIn newsletters that they can push content out towards. So the format's a lot different, and this is going to allow creators on LinkedIn to now monetize the content, which historically was a bit harder to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, this isn't the first time that LinkedIn has tried to get creators involved on their platform. Just, I think, a year and a half ago, there was a big push, a big campaign where a lot of influencers were getting PR from LinkedIn for the first time, and the PR included a DJI Osmo, a ring light. It was like,
I remember when they did this.
Yeah, it was like, please make content and post it on our platform. Really trying to catch up basically with all of the other platforms, because at the end of the day, we are now so used to seeing other people on camera that it doesn't really matter what platform it is. That's the kind of content that you want to see. I do think, to your point, however, the type of content on this platform obviously has to be different, right? I think on the other platforms, there is a much bigger opportunity to sell both products and services. However, on LinkedIn, that's not always the end goal of the type of content that you want to put out. Creating a lot of awareness, doing thought leadership, building credibility, as you were talking about, those are much more kind of the goal of what you want your content to do, whether it's a carousel or a video.
And since it's invite only, when do you guys think it's actually going to roll out publicly? Let's just start with North America.
I would say with it being invite only and really recent news, I would say we still give it about a month. Public rolling, I would say probably kicks off July, August, honestly. It will take about a month before they...
And on the research that you were doing, did you see anything that talks about how it was going to charge? Or how is it?
No, that's a really good question. I did not see any specific numbers around how it's charging. I'm sure there's some variables around the different types of creators that you do end up working with, because one of the problems LinkedIn has had historically, and we've all seen this, when it came to leveraging B2B influencers, every big brand thought about the same 50 to 100 names that are relevant. Anytime you talk about, hey, I want to do some kind of influencer related piece on LinkedIn, you're thinking about the exact same people. Versus, I think what the creator marketplace, the value it will bring is you'll find the CFO that has extreme knowledge, a solid background, maybe only 8 to 10, 15K followers, but that one will bring a lot more credibility.
Right.
Versus, I think it resolves one of the core issues, which was who are the influencers that we're going after on LinkedIn? Because everybody would use the same 50 influencers.
Yeah, so the
across board.
discoverability has to be huge, right? Like even if LinkedIn started with 1,000 creators,
Right.
that's not enough.
That's not.
I do think that if you are a brand, what do you take from this? I should be creating video content, right? Forget waiting for a creator marketplace. Forget finding influencers. Find folks within your company that are willing to jump on camera.
Totally.
And don't be afraid to start. Like start creating video content. That's obviously where this platform is headed,
Right.
is pushing video content with people in it. So start now.
Yep.
Right.
And one of the advantages I would say a lot of people have, especially if you're watching this episode or you recently heard about it, is it's not open yet. You can go ahead and find the influencers you're thinking about, create the short list. When the creator marketplace opens, the opportunity, back to Keith's point, who's available, who's not available, that will grow over time. But go ahead and create your short list. Don't focus on those same 50 to 100 influencers you had in the back of your head for all of this time.
I also want to point out, we have talked about it before, but the difference between creators and influencers, right?
Yeah.
There's value to both, but especially on this platform, LinkedIn, creators can go very, very far. And the type of content that you can get created and that you can have control over because you're working with a creator rather than an influencer, the potential is endless. So again, you can find those creators today, right now. Yeah. You can work with us. We have our own, creator network, but there are several out there that you can go ahead and start finding creators to work with. You don't need to wait, like I said, for this marketplace.
At the end of the day, I also wonder how attribution on this creator marketplace is going to work, because when you think about TikTok, for example, especially the affiliate side of TikTok, you can easily see how much GMV they're driving, right?
Point.
Because it's an e-commerce store. But if it's a B2B brand,
Right.
Is it going to be a white paper download? Is it a webinar registration? Is it traffic to the website? Like, how are you measuring impact? And is LinkedIn helping facilitate the measurement of this, which is huge and takes away a lot of what you guys were talking about, is like, think about the creators now. Like, don't wait for the platform to open up. And that causes an issue, especially if you're not working with like a sophisticated data team. Like, what's the impact of these influencers? And maybe this creator marketplace is going to help unlock that.
Well, you bring up, that's actually a really good point, because, in our experience working with some of the world's biggest brands, what we've known to be true on LinkedIn is that, yes, you can start to understand, are people downloading, are people taking an intent action, but also the platform's still true to its nature don't really want to reward those aspects. They want to reward, time on the platform, engagement on the platform. And so I think actually the biggest unlock for the creator marketplace right now is true viewership. So when you start to think about how am I going to value the creator, how am I going to gauge their actual impact on what it is that we're trying to accomplish, I would say you're looking for the ones that make your message the loudest.
Right.
Because we have experience with the own brands that we work with. The buying journey has so many different bottlenecks. Then they don't have the back-end infrastructure, or to Keith's point, the data sets that they need to in order to truly track and measure. Or your cycle is a year and a half long because you're working with other B2B enterprises and you have no indication of what actually impact it has. So I would say the core message, what it is that you're wanting them to understand about your brand, and how many people actually saw that is going to be the major unlock.
True.
Because LinkedIn is slow to get your content to go viral.
Right. So in short, essentially, LinkedIn is moving deeper into matching creators and brands. And I think this is going to be a big shift because we already see this fad. I don't want to call it a fad. We already see this happening on other big platforms like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
I would agree. I think the easiest way to sum up, the creator marketplace is, 10 years ago, people trusted brands. 5 years ago, people trusted the reviews. And now, today, people trust experts, people trust operators, people trust practitioners, and that's exactly what they're going to get through the creator marketplace.
Awesome. So I want to talk about
Next one.
the next topic, which is something that brands tend to sleep on. This is for e-commerce brands, but it's the Facebook shop,
I love it.
right?
Great
It's
topic.
not an Instagram shop. It's not a TikTok shop. It's a Facebook shop.
Have either of you shopped on Facebook Shop?
I still haven't shopped on
I
the
have.
major social media shops. I've seen them, I look at them, but I haven't bought anything.
My dad has, which is, yeah, of all the people,
Yeah, and if you think about the demographic
Yeah.
of
That
Facebook,
makes sense, yeah.
well, it provides a lot of things, right? Like Facebook, number one, has scale, which brands still want and
Right.
need. And then it does skew a little older. We have a lot of information around what the demographic on these different platforms look like, but that makes sense to me.
yeah, it makes sense. He came in with a sweatshirt. I was like, whoa, where'd you get that?
I love it.
Facebook.
I love this topic a lot, actually, because there's a lot to unpack and digest here. And Facebook shops, for a lot of people, might be, honestly, even on this episode, might be the least sexy topic that we discussed today.
Totally.
But it's the most profitable opportunity that I foresee when it comes to brands actually immediately winning and taking advantage of what the platform has to
The
offer.
distribution that it
Yeah,
allows.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And I want to shout out one of our partners, Sprout Social. They recently did a huge 2026 report on why Facebook Shop still matters. And they were arguing essentially that brands still want the scale that Facebook provides. And a lot of e-commerce brands are not taking advantage. When you properly set up your Facebook Shop, the catalog that you've integrated now starts to show up on all of the different channels. So it'll start to show up obviously on your Facebook shop, but it'll start to show up on your Instagram shop if you haven't set
Right.
that up. And then one big one it'll show up on is the Facebook Marketplace.
Right. That is
More
huge.
and more you're seeing, I don't know how much you guys go on Marketplace, I go
I
a
do.
lot.
Yeah.
More and more you're seeing not just regular people selling items, but brands are popping
Yeah.
up.
I get tricked all the time. Scrolling down, I'm like, oh, that's a cute rug. Let me see, and then I click on it. It's actually a
Wayfair.
store, and then, but then I'm in the rabbit hole. Like then I'm scrolling and scrolling, and they got me. That's how it works.
And you see one, and then you are. This is what I love about Facebook, and a lot of platforms are starting to be very seamless when it comes to this. But I literally look at one thing for 2 minutes, and then the next time I pop open Marketplace, it is exactly what I want to
Yeah.
see. It's so seamless. It's so easy.
And I do want to make a point about your 2-minute mark, right? Facebook's has buying behavior built into the platform. It actually sometimes doesn't take longer than 2 minutes
That's
to
right.
make
You're
an
a good
exit
point.
of a purchase,
For
right?
sure.
You're like, oh, this seems good, falls within budget. I was already looking for this because Facebook knows my credit card's already connected, especially
Right.
if you use Shop by Shopify. Then your credit card, your email address, your address, everything's already connected. And it's like literally 2 buttons away from making a purchase.
Right. I agree with that.
Everybody's been obsessed with TikTok Shop, Instagram Shop, but they're sleeping on Facebook Shop,
Yeah.
which has, by the way, been here since 2020.
Right. And
Yeah.
it has evolved where, and I think this is one of the things Facebook lacked on for a long time on Shop, and why Shop wasn't relevant for a lot of brands is because it didn't seem as natural as where social commerce is today for the longest. And I think this big update, this big push gets them much closer. But one of the things that is, truly impactful about Facebook is that when people start to think about, buying, the data is already there, the backend is there, the targeting is already there. People don't understand that this is the time to go ahead and try it because it is so new. A lot of people haven't adopted it. They're not jumping on it. So you can very easily win. And who's to say that you already haven't been selling through ads and you've been winning, that you don't take advantage of this marketplace, you don't take advantage of this set of medium, and then you can actually still win because we know it's proven that you can sell things through Facebook and you can blow up brands through Facebook. So use the shop. There are some technical aspects, and I think that's one of the things that the other platforms have made a little bit easier, but that's also something that makes it a little bit more powerful
Right.
than some of the other platforms. How do you tag the catalogs? How do you set them up? How are you measuring the performance from a cost aspect, the targeting availabilities? There's just so much to kind of digest when it comes to the back end of it that it truly is a powerful setup when it comes to
Yeah, I mean,
performance.
and Facebook's the king of commerce, right? Like
Yeah.
they're the ones who invented ROAS.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want people to think about Facebook Shop and that it's still, a secondary thought. People always go to Instagram and TikTok and whatnot is another big one that's popped up. But Facebook, the real opportunity here is make it a part of your sales system. That doesn't mean you have to pull away from the rest of it.
Right.
Do exactly what you're doing on the other platforms, understand how Facebook works, and then just double down, because if you win early, you can win for a long time.
Absolutely. I do want to mention when we're creating content, back to the content side of it, though there is the commerce side, I think if we lose being native to the platform when we're creating the content, we were just talking about, you're scrolling through Marketplace, you click on something thinking it's just another person, and you end up on, someone's website. The reason that worked is because it was native to the platform. It felt like you were just looking at someone else's piece of content.
That's right.
Exactly.
It didn't feel like you were looking through a catalog. And I think that's the benefit and the most important part when it comes to creating content for social commerce specifically. Don't treat it like your website. Don't treat it like a catalog where you're just going, people aren't going to stay very long. Create content that feels native, that feels exciting, that shows the user experience.
I think that's one of the reasons why people pulled away from Facebook Shop in the past, because it seemed more exactly like that.
I think you're right.
It was a catalog, you see your products, you click on it, you get navigated to the website, and then you're still doing the research and the deep dive to figure out, is this something I really want? Now it's, like I said, much more seamless. You can buy it on Facebook. It's in the marketplace section. It's just easy.
Facebook almost doesn't show products to you that they don't already know you want to buy. It's like every ad that you see on Facebook, it's like, yeah, I want that. The question becomes, how bad do I actually want it? Does it fit within my budget?
That's
right. Everything you see from a targeting standpoint, you're like, yeah, I want that.
Slowly, social commerce removes the barrier to entry, right? It is way too easy to purchase through social media at this point. Click of a button and it'll be on your doorstep in a couple days.
So we are a social media agency, so you really don't need to convince us that social media is here to stay. But there was something reassuring that recently happened. An iconic agency called 360i, who back a long time ago got purchased, I think by Razorfish, Dentsu, is making an iconic comeback. But this time they're not making a comeback as just a regular advertising agency or digital agency.
Right.
They are a social-first, AI-led agency for brands who want to utilize AI in their workflows a lot more. So it was really reassuring to me that an iconic global agency that I used to look up to has completely transitioned into being social first, AI native, which is what we've been saying since 2020.
Right.
Do you remember the dunk in the dark tweet
from
Oreo?
Yeah.
That's 360i.
Was that 360?
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so what people may not understand with what Keith just unpacked is Dentsu used to be an old agency model, old school. If you know anything about ad agency, strategy team, creative team, media team, social team, analytics team, all in their own realm, extremely valuable experts. But today what they're doing is it's social insights, then it's the creative, the paid, the creators, it's the whole ecosystem, and then also all focused on social media and then leveraged through AI. So
And the agency model itself, and not just agency model, the consulting model is also changing and becoming more outcomes based.
Right.
So I read a stat the other day, McKinsey, one of the big consulting companies. Do you know how much of their revenue now is outcome based?
What percentage of their total revenue is outcome based?
It was a multi-billion-dollar company, by the way.
Right. I would say maybe 30%.
Close. 25% of McKinsey's revenue today is outcome based, which historically it used to be time plus materials and hours, right? Like that's how they used to charge. Now it's based on, did I reduce customer churn? Did I increase revenues by a certain
lifetime value? Yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
A lot of agencies, especially in the game that we play, have already been doing outcome-based work. So it's really interesting to see.
I like it. I think, historically, especially with Dentsu moving to, like you said, social first, the landscape has changed drastically, right? Social used to be discovery, then the website was research, and then e-commerce was purchase. Today, social is discovery, social is research, social is purchase, social is customer service. Yeah. Social is the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely valuable, that not only what the everyday consumer understands, a lot of brands and then the consultants to the brands are starting to understand this ecosystem a lot better.
Yeah, it's before, during, and after, right? So before you make the purchase, you're on social, you're figuring out, you're speaking to the community, you're asking questions, you're learning about the brand. through social, you're able to make the purchase,
Right.
make multiple purchases, come back, but also post purchase, right?
Yep.
You are able to then share your experience, leave your review, see what other people are thinking. Oh, I want to buy this, but in a different color, a different flavor. Like you're continuing to stay within that, as you said, ecosystem,
Right.
which just keeps you a long-term customer
Yeah,
at the end.
and I think organic is going to matter. It's like barely scratching the surface right now, because if you think about what
Agreed.
happened recently with Andromeda and Mark Zuckerberg going on stage and quite literally saying, hey, if you work with creative shops, that's great, but our platform will be able to manage everything.
That's right.
Right? The targeting, the bidding strategy, the campaign optimization, the campaign architecture, the creation of the content. So what does that mean? If the algorithm and the AI can manage the ad campaigns, what's left?
That's right. And one of the biggest variables that why a lot of brands, I think, and in general, big brands are a little bit slower moving and late to the party, as they say. But I think one of the biggest bottlenecks was that social ROI piece. And we talked a little bit about that when we were mentioning LinkedIn. But the better that the AI is getting, the better that the platforms are getting, the disconnect between ROI and what you're doing on social media, the gap is continuously closing. So
Because that gap is closing, do you think agencies or the consulting companies will ever move to fully outcome-based model, or do you think they'll always have a base
That's a big
fee
question. Yeah,
and
good
then
question.
outcome-based?
I'd say majority no. There might be one or two that experiment with that, but I would say probably majority.
Well, I would
no.
say we actually see a shift to where a lot do. I don't think you ever move away. Not everyone ever moves away from a retainer or a small portion. I do think
It's hard
that-
because you'd have to front the money.
That's right. But I do think a lot of people will move from, hey, I need this many dollars immediately, to a model that's like, hey, I only need this much immediately, and then everything else can be outcome.
Right.
I mean, one of the biggest agencies that we know about that did focus on small businesses, the Shasha Group, which I think they changed the name actually recently. But it was a brand owned by Gary Vee and then managed by his team. But they grew extremely fast, only focusing on small businesses. And one of the insights that we had, or the key learnings that Keith and I had, is they grew so quickly because they based their payout on the increase in the brands that they were working with. So in the performance increase, in the purchase increase, in the actual bottom line revenue increase of the brands that they were working with. So to Keith's point, some agencies have already gone that route. Some are probably still exploring. I do think that the retainer model still stays in a lot of
Yeah,
instances.
it almost has to stay, because a lot of the brands that come to us in the beginning stages, their attribution is pretty bad. Like,
Yeah.
it's not set up to
That's a
the
good
point
point.
where the agency can say,
I
my
know what I
work was
did."
impacted this
That's right.
way.
Right. I think there's a lot of volatility to social in general. There are so many new updates coming out. The way that the algorithms change, the way demographics are on this platform today, but they're not tomorrow. There's
Right.
a lot of experimenting involved with good execution on
Right.
social. And so that's really hard to, optimize ultimately at the end of the day and say,
Yeah.
we believe 100% in the outcome and where it's going to go, because you can only predict so much.
Right.
I agree
Which
with that.
kind of leads us to our next segment.
Oh, yeah?
We're talking
Great.
a lot about attribution. We're talking about how brands need to understand whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's organic or paid or what have you, how it's ultimately impacting the business. It's 2026. There's no reason you shouldn't have insight into what's working and what's not
Right.
working.
Right.
So with all of that being said, LinkedIn recently not formed a partnership. They already have a partnership with DoubleVerify, but they have a new partnership with DoubleVerify that helps advertisers that are advertising on their publisher network,
Right.
not the LinkedIn platform, but the publisher network that LinkedIn has, give more insight and visibility into where their ads are being shown for brand safety,
Right.
what the viewability rate is, and a couple of other metrics that they're going to start providing advertisers who are advertising on the audience network.
I agree. I mean, now you don't have to, this is actually a big unlock. Now you don't have to just take for its word what LinkedIn tells you. It is actually being verified.
Right.
There's actual authentic
Double
proof that it's
verified.
happening. Double verified. And so I think this is it sounds like another boring topic, but there's billions of dollars behind this already. And just now think about, you can actually authenticate what's actually happening when it comes to the performance.
So it seems like LinkedIn right now is really big on credibility and really backing up everything that they're putting out on their platform. It is one of the platforms that is quote unquote slower to release all of these different features, whereas most of the other platforms have done a lot of this already. But I think that there's a reason for it. I think it's also, probably a higher quality coming out rather than kind of starting as a test and then optimizing. Seems like they know what they're doing. So
I mean, marketing has entered what I would like to call like an accountability era.
Oh yeah.
Accountability is huge. I mean, CMOs are under pressure, boards are under pressure, budgets are under pressure. We deal with it every single day with the brands that we work with. Nobody just wants impressions. They want proof. This is proof that LinkedIn is actually delivering.
And CMOs are one of the executive positions that gets replaced the most or fired
really
the most,
quickly.
because it's like, hey, if you can't show the CEO, the board, the leadership team what these huge investments into social are doing,
right?
Then you're not going to get budget.
But it's becoming easier and easier to show, to
Correct.
prove, to say here are the actual numbers.
Exactly.
That's right. And now you can not just say, hey, where did you see that ad? You can actually answer, where did you see that ad? How did I see that ad? Was it safe? Was it legitimate?
Yeah.
All of
How
those
did
things.
it perform?
Right,
How
exactly.
much did it cost?
Exactly.
You can benchmark against your other media channels.
Right. Good
So
point,
do you guys think now that you'll have more verification into the numbers that LinkedIn is providing? Do you think advertisers are going to change like benchmarks, like LinkedIn versus Google? Are they going to reallocate budgets now and say, okay, well, we get the same amount of insight from LinkedIn's audience network as we do from Google's audience network. So should we try more?
Yeah, I see reallocation for sure. You understand a lot more of who your audience is and that they're actually there, right? With Google, understanding your audience is a little bit different than understanding who they are on social, and what you're able to show them is also different.
Yeah. No, I mean, Keith made a great point in asking that question, because one of the things that we were already seeing through organic social is the fact that a lot of people hid bad marketing through the paid dollars, through the media spend, through just showing, hey, this was super successful, but it actually wasn't, because you could fluff up everything.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to. You can actually see if it's actually bringing the value you're looking for. So yeah, I do think KPIs change. I think the strategy changes. I think it puts a little bit more pressure on marketers. And like I said, organic social was already helping that shift. I think this just, like you said, DoubleVerify doubles downs on it. So
Exactly right.
cool.
All right. Well, so we talked a lot today about LinkedIn. LinkedIn with DoubleVerify.
Yep.
LinkedIn with its new creator marketplace, which right now is still invite only.
And I'm excited to use it myself.
Yeah, we talked about Dentsu bringing back 360i, which was the agency behind Wario's viral tweet during the Super Bowl many, many years ago. Right now, that agency that they're bringing about is still tiny. I hear it's only 4 members, and it's still kind of in the talks. They haven't executed upon anything yet. And then we talked about Facebook Shops. Yeah. Social commerce is here to stay. It is growing. Yeah. It's getting bigger.
We'll link the Sprout Social Facebook Shops report that they came out with in the description.
Absolutely.
I agree.
All right, sounds good. Well, as always, if you learned anything today, tell us in the comments. If you have any questions, we would all love to personally answer your questions, so leave them in the comments. If you want to hear more about how social is shifting, make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok to see more content from us, and we'll see you next time.